We're going to court. Okay. The setting, United States, northern neck of Virginia. The situation. Bought land and built a house on it. Back when my wife and I were much more newlywed than we are now, we hired ourselves an architect and went whole hog on having our cozy little dream home designed. While this was being done, we went shopping around for a parcel of land on which to have it built, which went quickly and easily, and we even got a pretty nice deal on a half-acre lot that was just far enough back in the sticks for us to be happy, but close enough to our jobs that it wasn't much of a commute. Best part of all, no homeowners association. There weren't any active back in that area because, point blank, it was full of poor people back there. Dirt poor country types and working poor wage slave types. We made very sure with our lawyer that no previous owner had ever had the title amended to allow for any HOA nonsense as well, because that's a thing some real estate developers like to do. They'll buy up a property, get the title amended to force the membership of that property into a local HOA, that they usually operate or are in cahoots with those that do, and then resell it with that as a new requirement for any prospective buyer to automatically agree to when they sign the title. Flash forward to August of 2019. COVID was just around the corner, but nobody knew that yet. Everything was that which passes for normal out in those parts, and my wife and I had since moved to a different location, but retained that property as one of our various rentals. It was our dream home for several years and we loved that place. Moving was tough. It was a good neighborhood out there and folks were very welcoming. Then a company that's totally not named Ryan Homes or anything even slightly similar came in and spent some years buying everything up back there that got the market and pressuring folks into selling, which worked out for them only too well. And of course, they gentrified everything. For 3 years and some change, there was massive amounts of the old being torn down and hauled out and the new being built up and sold. The HOA was built right in, because of course it was. Folks with money enough to throw down on shittily built houses that looked nice from the front moved in 1 by 1 and 2 by 2, property values in the area skyrocketed, property taxes skyrocketed right along with them, and more of the less poor people were forced to sell because they got taxed out of their own homes. My wife and I knew what was coming from the get-go. We knew those dinguses from Totally Not Ryan Homes were going to come sniffing around our way, not to try to buy us out, but to see if they could finagle, schmooze or threaten us into joining the HOA they were installing. It was inevitable. Lots of information is public record. They knew we had money. They knew we were living below our means by 2 orders of magnitude. They knew we clearly meant to be exactly where we were because we sure didn't have to be. They knew they didn't have a snowflake's hope in hell of pricing us out on taxes, so they tried nagging us to death and coming right up to the line on harassment, always to talk to us about joining the HOA. They failed. They got told by one expensive lawyer to find something else to do before we all got super busy helping them find things to worry about. And so they desisted for some years. Then my wife and I moved and got the property set up as a rental. Absolutely Not Ryan Homes starts bothering our tenants there, both trying to get him to pressure us into putting the property into the HOA as well as getting our tenants riled up with the most outrageous lies about what could happen if we, the owners, don't protect our renters better. My wife and I were livid after hearing about this crap, and so we got a hold of Definitely Not Ryan Homes to let them know that this was our formal request, that they stop bothering our tenants and that all further communications would be from our really expensive lawyer. They must have assumed we were bluffing, or maybe whoever was in charge of thinking that day didn't show up for work, because they just kept right on with their nonsense. It got so bad that they were even sending fake but convincing looking envelopes with eviction notice that, upon being opened, said, "Could be what you find in your mailbox one day without our wondrous HOA," and containing information about the benefits of the HOA. We gathered it all up and got the tenants to talk to our lawyer and got the police involved to get the ball rolling on a harassment investigation. Another formal request to cease and desist was sent to Never Ryan Homes by the very expensive lawyer, which they utterly ignored. I think the guy that's supposed to come to work and think about things quit a long time ago. Maybe he never told anyone. Maybe nobody noticed. Whatever the situation on their end, when my lawyer talked to their lawyer told my lawyer that their client was doing everything legally and that if we wanted to pursue the matter in court, that was what we'd have to do. So we did. I'm not sure what kind of lawyer magic my lawyer and his fellow legal demons worked on this front, but we were in court for 1 single hour when my lawyer and their 4 lawyers and the judge had a private talk after the preliminary hearing. Half-hour later and the lawyers from Maybe Ryan Homes come back into the courtroom looking like a quartet of cats that had been pissed on. My lawyer takes a seat beside me and says they're going to settle. And I was like, I didn't think we were that far along into this yet. What happened? And he said, they built 51 homes in County of Concern over 2 years. Every single one of them was inspected before close of sale by a real estate agent that never actually got around to getting her home inspector license. And that's how was it Ryan Holmes the whole time paid me 10 grand to not sue them while they got bent over by the county and the state and tag-teamed like the new boy with the pretty lips in a prison yard. TL. DR housing developer harasses my wife and I, then harasses our tenants after we leave and rent the property or, to try to make us join their creepy hoa. They make us take them to court to get anything done, at which point my lawyers let the judge know that everything the developer built in that area was unlawfully sold because the home inspector wasn't actually a home inspector and all the legal documents she signed off on during every closing on every one of those units in the whole county were invalid. Developer gets throat punched repeatedly by county and state for probably millions of dollars in fines and fees and settlements with homeowners that were sold properties that were never lawfully inspected before being turned over. I got 10 grand in the settlement, which my wife and I gave to the tenants in that property because they deserved it and we really didn't need it anyway. Edit. Spelling words is hard. Maybe whoever was in charge of thinking that day didn't show up for work. I have worked for an organization that must have had someone in this role, though I never saw any sign of it. The only way I knew was because I was often told that they were not paying me to think. Apparently having more than one person doing this kind of work is dangerous. Fuck HOA would appreciate this as well I think. Was part of the settlement that you signed a NDA? If not, you could have told your tenants, the tenants could have put the word out, now technically you've only kept your tenant informed. After all they were witnesses in the case, they could potentially have been involved. Hey, it's not your fault if the tenants speak to the neighbors. Good on ya for taking care of your tenants. Every hoa and raya fucked over puts a smile on my face. The market was booming so fast. The inspector didn't even get their license yet. Today I learned you can be taxed out of living in a certain area. You should have sent everyone a letter in the hoa telling them it's class action lawsuit time. For those of us not in the United States, can you explain what the Homeowners Association is, please? Edit. Thanks for your replies. In Australia this is all mostly managed by local government. The parallel would be a body corporate in a block of units, flats I think. That's it. I am now calling paralegals legal demons, and no one can change my mind, because paras are extremely fierce and get paid to find every law that can make life hell for their opponents. I got 10 grand in the settlement, which my wife and I gave to the tenants in that property because they deserved it and we really didn't need it anyway. Well done. And it makes up for the harassment. Points and laughs. It may be Ryan Holmes. This totally fictional company that is totally not named Ryan Holmes was actually kicked out of O for a few years due to how bad they were. Unfortunately they have returned. If you ask anyone in the trades in my area, they will tell you absolutely do not buy a house from the company that is not named Ryan Holmes. They are garbage. The hoa part is only a small part of it. Why didn't they just try and buy you out, instead? This was glorious. Fuck HOAs. And fuck totally not Ryan Holmes. I wish there were more landlords like you. You are beautiful landlords. We are significant other lucky. We have a kind landlord now, they really are hard to come by. Glad it all worked out for you. The story was a nice one made even better by the writing. Enjoyed it from definitely the beginning to you bet your ass off the end. And that's how was it Ryan Holmes the whole time paid me 10 grand to not sue them while they got bent over by the county and the state and tag-teamed like the new boy with the pretty lips in a prison yard. But that's a separate tragedy. This is just beautiful. This is the best thing I've read and oh my did I enjoy everything about it. A wise man once said, fuck HOAs. I agree with him. Love that you gave the money to the tenants. Got bent over by the county and the state and tag-teamed like the new boy with the pretty lips in a prison yard. Lol I gotta remember that one. Good work my man. I'm in Europe. HOAs are as unknown as the terms medical bankruptcy and civil forfeiture, but still a hilarious story. There is definitely more to this story. Unless your dream home was looking like absolute shit, no company is going to those lengths to get you to join in HOA for no reason. Builders couldn't care less about the HOA once they have sold the homes. I got 10 grand in the settlement, which my wife and I gave to the tenants in that property because they deserved it and we really didn't need it anyway. Good grief. Where were you when I was renting? That was incredibly generous of you. As someone renting from also a good landlord, one day I aspire to be like you. It's fucking awesome that you could afford some justice. The system works. From the UK. What's with HOAS in America? Is it self-righteous NIMBY, not in my backyard, types? Or something more corporate? One house-related issue over here is leasehold and management companies who charge management fees to cut the grass and conduct repairs for communal areas. Thank you for your wonderfully written story and also for being good guys to your tenants. I'd say totally not Ryan Homes could go fuck themselves, but apparently that's being done for them. Nice. Reading this felt like one of those old standardized tests where every other sentence is unnecessary fluff and you have to figure out which sentence to delete. The story goes sailing along, then the unexpected body check to the HOA. In my mind the sound effects were glorious. Fuck HOA would love this. Why did they want you to join the HOA so badly? I don't know much about HOAS. Why do they want in HOA so much? I always thought the HOA was there to relieve them of any duty after building their houses. What is a county of concern, and why were they so desperate to get you into the HOA? It was an absolute delight reading this. You almost never find something so well written. I loved the adjectival progression, too. By any chance, were you taught by nuns? Peas. I apologize for the phrase almost never. I think I love you. That was beautiful. Thank you for doing this. Jesus Christ, this is way too long without a too long did not read. Did this take place in the northern part of the NNK, closer to CB, or closer to the Bay? Been going there since before I was born. Side note, nobody should ever buy from not Ryan Homes ever, and your home inspection part does not surprise me even slightly. A quartet of pissed on cats, well done, and visual as fuck. Not only was this a great malicious compliance, but well written in the form of a true, short story. Thanks for the great read, nice to hear of the satisfying resolution. Beautiful. And also you have a wonderful way with words, you, Niacinod. You and your wife are awesome people. I'm sure you have your problems and flaws, and I'm not trying to trivialize them, but you are both also very, incredibly, awesome people. Flash forward to August of 2019. For 3 years and some change. And so they desisted for some years. Edit. Spelling words is hard. So is maths apparently. This has all happened since August 2019. 3 years from then is August 2022, never mind the change, or the some years after that where they desisted. Oh, please tell me they also paid for your fancy lawyer. Y'all are dope. Fairfax or Loudoun County. Used to live in Manassas but had a son who lived in Fairfax County for several years. May you and your wife live a life of fulfillment and satisfaction. My great-aunt and uncle had a summer home in the Northern Neck. Beautiful country with a lot of wonderful people. I always loved staying there growing up. I don't understand why developers set up HOAs. What is the advantage to them? Why do people want to join them? Having fuck you money must be fun.